Going to you. Okay. This is Gerhart City Council public hearing of which. Excuse me for a second while I find which one it is. Road deal. No, it's the budget. And
It's naming
the private road.
It's been
it's
yellow.
naming the private road.
It's in yellow, Carrie, on your agenda, the very top thing.
Oh, excuse me, I thought it was the budget. Oh, I see, it's the public hearing down below. My mistake. Public hearing naming the private road, McAdam Court. Chad, do you want to give us the rundown?
I do, let me just double check here. Yes,
There's the public hearing agenda though, for planning.
Public hearing, okay, this is a public hearing regarding naming a private road in Gerhart as McAdam Court. Does anyone object to the jurisdiction of the city council to hear this matter at this time? Hearing none, does any city council member believe he or she has a conflict of interest?
No.
No. The staff report, please.
okay, thank you very much, Mayor and Council. So this is a report that was done by Garrett Phillips. It's ordinance number 944, ordinance naming a private road, McAdam Court. City of Gerhart approved a building permit for 4 dwelling units at the Pink Window property, which is accessed by a private road intersecting US 101. This is the back driveway of the old Palmberg property, for those of you that know that area. It's right off of Highway 101, and it's next to that garage that was constructed many years ago, just before Park Lane. At the time of application or building permit approval, dwellings were addressed 3702, 04, 06, and 08 Highway 101 North on permit documents. And the road was not named at the time of the building occupancy permit. Clatsop County's online GIS list of property addresses 3701 Highway 101 North. Private roads serving 3 or more dwellings are supposed to be named to ensure that emergency services can efficiently identify the destinations. ORS 227120 provides a framework for cities to name the roads. Staff also recently worked with the Planning Commission to establish an administrative procedure to ensure neighborhoods and government partners with an interest in road naming are notified and have the opportunity to effect new road names. The road will be named. The road to be named is and will remain a private road. The application in this case is the city of Gerhart. Following is an outline of steps for naming a road, and this is a fairly new procedure. Adjacent owners recommended that the city road name should be McAdam Court after the inventor of asphalt, John McAdam. Planning Commission held a public hearing on the road name on May 9, 2024, and recommended that the name should be McAdam Court. No comments were submitted to the Planning Commission. City Council hearing was scheduled, and notices were sent to the following list, and you all have that list in front of you on page 2. After completing a public hearing and recommending a road name, the City Council adopts an ordinance naming the road, city attached draft ordinance, and the staff sends this ordinance to the following agencies. And you see those agencies there. There have been no public comments that have been submitted. The decision and recommendation criteria, the City Council will make the final road name decision. City of Gerhart staff reviewed the proposed road name and found it consistent with the criteria of the ordinance of ORS and the City of Gerhart draft road naming administrative procedure standards listed below. So here are the standards that we use for this process. And just to let you know, in Gerhart, there was no road naming process up until this particular issue. When it came to me as some ideas for naming the road, I again doubled down and looked, and I couldn't find any type of procedure. I did not feel comfortable just naming roads for the city of Gerhart. I thought it would be better to be a city council issue. I was involved in 1 or 2 road names in the past where people asked, is this okay? I said, well, it passes. the city staff, but otherwise, yeah, we don't have a procedure. So that's how we got roads such as Ashley Lane, that's off of Gearhart Loop. It was named after the young man's wife who was developing it, but that was a good choice for him anyway. So some of the things that we're paying attention to is to not duplicate existing road names except for continuations. Not to sound so familiar to other road names as to be confusing. To be limited to a maximum of 15 letters and 3 words, excluding the suffix indicator, i.e. road, lane, loop, or drive. Improve the clarity of identification of the area, the historical name, theme, local flora name, or fauna name when appropriate. Reflect the consensus of affected owners and occupants when possible, subject to other standards contained. Roads running in the general north-south direction shall be called roads. Roads running in general east-west direction shall be called lanes. And this is also from ORS that we derived that information from. And if you look around your heart, you'll notice that there's a lot of roads and names that do not apply to that. So moving forward, we thought, let's add some logic to this. Roads dead ending in a turnaround 1,000 feet or less in the beginning points will be called courts. Roads of reduced right-of-way or curvy roads of less than 1,000 feet may be called drives. Roads that begin at a circle back onto the same road that are circular or semicircular may be called circles or loops. So the decision options that Garrett has here for you is motions based on findings in the staff report that the subject road be named McAdam Court. Motion recommending based on alternate findings that the subject road be named insert here. So the council has the opportunity to change this name. Location map is on the back. Not very easy to understand where that is, but it's just past Sea Ridge on Highway 101, just before, yeah, oh, thank you. Just after Sea Ridge and just before Cutler in that area. Thank you. Decision of options is stated above. The right criteria is stated above, and the analysis is Garrett will be available for questions, although he's not quite here yet. If passed tonight, the ordinance will be returned for a second reading in July. If approved, it would take effect 30 days later.
I can answer questions. And just to clarify why you're seeing this tonight and you haven't previously seen one, when developers do a subdivision plat, the street names are just on it and they name it. In instances where there is a driveway that has more than 4 units, they want it named just so that first responders will have a better means of getting it. So in this case, we have a 4-plex. That was enough to trigger what we would normally think of as a driveway, now private road, and that required us to develop a process for that sort of thing.
The road name itself came from the gentleman who's developing this property. He went around to the neighbors and did have conversations with them, and they didn't have any issues with what his idea was for this name, nor did they have any other ideas for what the road could be named. Palmberg's on a large property and behind. He did approach the Palmberg family, and the Palmbergs weren't interested in having a road named after them. Not that one anyway. So he did his due diligence, came back to us, and then staff did a careful look at the available road and making sure that this road name was not a duplicate and it would work within the county. So that's what we have.
Are the dwelling units built?
They're being built. I think that some of them are,
Just they had garages and the garages are done, but they haven't started the work yet. Maybe just the.
Do we do this before they're finished?
yeah, it's helpful to do it probably even a little bit sooner. Because when the person is starting to register their information for tax purposes, building supply deliveries, gas, utilities, all of that, it gets a little difficult when you don't have a road name.
Oh, you mean like a zip code?
Like a zip code, your packages may or may not get there.
I see.
Don't be there.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
So Palmer's put that road in there, back when I worked for him in the sixties. We were on McCormick Gardens Road. And then Bill and John bought that right of way out to the highway. Because it was a lot more convenient for the asphalt trucks. Okay. So now that Toyota owns the property east of that, is that still a thoroughfare off of his property?
No,
So it stops and ends at railroad, basically the railroad.
it does for these purposes anyway. John Toyota said that he wasn't interested in using that access. And if he was interested in using the backside access, he'd prefer to use the railroad right of way that goes in behind it. But he doesn't even really have any opinion on that at the moment. He preferred to develop the accesses both on the McCormick Garden Road side, if in fact he develops that property soon. We haven't heard anything from him, nor do we have any plans.
Okay, because I mean, when the garbage company was interested in taking the Palmer's asphalt property, right? There was the thing about access to the highway or versus McCormick Gardens Road.
Yes. And we've been clear with that with Mr. Toyoka to make sure that when he is considering what it is that he wants to do with that property, that he knows that this is not accessible to him yet. He's still got the railroad access. But John doesn't have the desire at this point, or he hasn't expressed any, to put more than a few houses back there, or more of a family type atmosphere, maybe 5 houses in the future.
Okay.
Which is probably as many as he can get with the zoning that's in RA zone back there, which is 1 acre lots. So if, and you weren't on the council back then, the planning commission, and I think the city council heard a desire for a developer to put a 20 house cluster development back there. You probably remember that because the neighborhood came out pretty strongly against it. And that would have required some zone changes for them to be able to do that and to put all those houses back in that area beyond what the RA zone allows. Also, you mentioned asphalt, and I don't know that if we have that in here, but the reason for the name McAdam.
Exactly, he's the guy that invented asphalt.
Yes.
And he named the product MACDAM.
Yeah.
They like after the street in Portland, so it was pronounced the same as the name McAdam, but he spelled it different.
That created a little confusion in the planning commission for a little bit until we got down to that fact.
I have no objection to naming the road. I just want to know whether or not it's going to be a thoroughfare through that particular residential neighborhood or future development on the east side.
Not at this time, but I don't know, things do change. But at this point, no.
So if it's only a 20-foot easement, wouldn't it have to be a 60-foot to be a city street for
Yes, so
access,
this isn't a city street, this is a private road.
right?
But to name it within our community, we've taken the liberty to add private roads and public roads to this process.
Right, but what I'm getting at is to make it an access road for that back property.
Oh, yeah.
He would have to take out 40 more feet to meet our standard.
Maybe, it would at least have to be, larger than what it is for sure. I think fire code is a 25-foot minimum. And then that wouldn't give us any right of way for future sidewalks or trails or anything like that.
Well, the fire code says 25 feet, why are we only getting 20? That's a question.
This is really a driveway. I mean, the whole reason it's on one lot. It's a fourplex on one lot. Normally it would just be a driveway and they get the county zone, but because it's 4 units, we have to name it for just first responders.
Okay, so it's just a driveway.
If there are 4 houses on a driveway, we would name the driveway anyway, just so first responders would be able to come to the driveway.
Right. Okay,
So at this point, the fire department did sign off on that project
okay,
for various reasons. I think they had requirements for water access and that sort of thing. The builder was able to meet all those requirements and satisfy the fire department.
yeah, you saw how that went,
Yeah.
if they've got a 25 need, why aren't we getting a 25 grant?
We are where we can,
Okay,
and I don't think that this was possible with the way that the way that this was developed way back with the easement that they put into place, so we'll make do with what we have.
all right. So. Is there any additional correspondence? I am now going to call for public testimony. Are there any presentations by proponents? None. Are there any presentations by opponents? None. Is there a staff or response? No, we don't need any of those. If the hearing is not being continued, close the public hearing is closed.
Mr. Mayor, there are
Ma'am.
people online.
Did I miss a hand up? Because I don't see it.
There was not, but the callers can't put their hand up.
Oh, the phoners.
Yeah, so I was just checking.
Thank you. Phoner, I don't have a name, so
We have David Johnson, Deanna Mansell, and a phone number ending in 751.
caller 751, do you have anything to say? Okay. That's interesting. Okay. Then I'll close the hearing. Is there any deliberation or discussion necessary from the council? I'll take a motion.
I would name the driveway after the asphalt guy.
Oh, you're making the motion based on finding in the staff report that the subject road be named McAdam Court? That's great.
I'll second it. That's an excellent suggestion.
Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you very much.
Just so you know.
I abstain.
Your hands raised.
So, yes, sir, this.